Good evening, everybody, and today is the 4th of December 2025, and we're in the midst of this, well, this, should we say, scandal in which the American Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth, is being accused of having committed a war crime, or even multiple war crimes. And the reason for that is, let's bring up the Wikipedia page. United States military strikes on alleged drug traffickers. So, to date, or as of November 16th, at least 22 vessels have been struck. And if we go to one of those first few, or perhaps even the first vessel, a video was released by the Department of Defense showing the vessel being struck by a hands-off weapon, so over the horizon weapon, probably launched by a drone, and the boat is completely obliterated. But then the video stops, and now apparently anonymous sources say that a kill order was received after the boat had already been struck, and the people were shipwrecked, or there were two survivors shipwrecked in the water, defenseless, as shipwrecked people generally are, civilian or military. And so an order apparently was given to double tap, which is a very nasty word. It's a euphemism, if ever there was one. A tap sounds innocent, but anyway. So it's all circles about this double tap, not even the primary strike. And I'm old enough to remember another naval conflict. Well, if we can use the term conflict here, but a recent one, relatively recent, and that was in 1982 when Argentina invaded the Falkland Islands, and the Royal Navy was sent to oppose them. And this resulted in proper confrontation between two proper naval forces, not go-fast boats that allegedly carried drugs. No, both sides of the opposed forces. So both sides even had an aircraft carrier. So two aircraft carriers were opposed against each other. And then this happened. So there was no naval conflict. The first shot still needed to be fired, apart from the invasion of a small island, but that was negligible. But then at a certain point, this happened. The General Belgrano was a ship in the fleet of the Argentinians, an old American cruiser, and they were doing a kind of pincher movement towards the British fleet, and I think here the pincher is shown. So here you got the Belgrano, and then accompanied by two destroyers, and then in the north you had the Argentinian aircraft carrier 25 de Mayo, accompanied by multiple cruisers and destroyers, and the red ships is the Royal Navy. So the Royal Navy, what did they do? When Thatcher heard that they were being pinched, they gave the order to attack ships, military ships, Argentinian ships outside of the exclusion zone, which is the circle here. which is which is only normal. I mean, put it in perspective, the Argentinians invaded British territory, and then the Brits sent over their navy to defend it. And then the Argentinian navy starts attacking the British navy. So what did Thatcher do? She ordered one of the nuclear submarines, 3 nuclear submarines that were on station. They each were ordered to track. One was ordered to track the Cinque de Mayo in case it started to launch airplanes, and the other one was ordered to track the biggest ship, the Belgrano, in the south. And they were getting closer and closer. So London said, "Sink the Belgrano," or didn't even say you're free to engage enemy vessels. And the commander of the submarine, I think it was called the Conqueror, that sunk. Well, it doesn't really matter. He said, "Well, it's a legitimate target." And he put in 3 torpedoes in that cruiser, and it sank right away with the death of 323 Argentinian sailors, I mean military personnel, engaging in a military conflict. Now, why do I tell this? This was a warship with a 9-inch guns, 9 of them, I think, heading towards the British fleet. And still, the world was up in arms because it was considered there was discussion if this was a war crime. That's the point of this video. There was discussion, not only in the UK, but also in the United States, that this was unnecessary violence having been used against a military ship that was part of an attacking force, but it was retreating, because this map shows at the time that the submarine launched its torpedoes, the Belgrano was retreating away from. And why was it retreating away? Because the Cinco de Mayo, it needed 40 knots over the bow to launch its A4 Skyhawks, and there wasn't enough wind, so they couldn't launch the planes. So the Argentinian admiral said, "We'll call it a day and we retreat." So it started to retreat, and that was the point. It was a war crime, because almost considered a war crime, because the military ship, was retreating. Now, put that in perspective of what is going on with Hegseth today. And if you try to make an analogy, it's as if Venezuela would have invaded Key West, the Keys. It's exactly like that. Would already have invaded, boots on the ground in the Keys, and the United States, well, they were too late. They sent a naval force to oppose the ships coming from Venezuela. And an American submarine has one of those warships in its periscope, but the Venezuelan ship turns back to Venezuela for some reason, perhaps not enough fuel, but anyway, the American submarine fires its torpedoes, and the ship sinks with 300 Venezuelan sailors on board. That was discussion. This is a war crime. We're talking here about civilian boats, speedboats, that pose no military threat to any American naval unit in the neighborhood. Even if they had Kalashnikovs, no, they don't pose any threat. But they're shot out of the water anyway. And then, if that wasn't enough, they launch a second strike to kill the survivors. So there's a huge chance. The argument with the Admiral Belgrano was that they were not at war. Argentina and the UK officially. No war had been declared, so that was the outrage. The outrage. How dare you to sink a military ship without the war having been declared? And here there's a so-called war against drugs. Something that the Coast Guard should take care of, the police, if the FBI, perhaps the CIA, but not the army, and not with the permission to use full force. So if this is not a clear-cut case, America, or the people in charge in America, then there is a serious problem as to the moral credibility of the United States around the world, and especially towards its, should I say, former European allies, who were used to see America as a good guy, as the super good guy. That shows the rest of the world how to be a good guy. If this is not declared a war crime, where the sinking of the Belgrano was almost declared a war crime, then America is finished on the stage of world ethics, of world integrity, of world ethical leadership, especially in military cases. I hope that was useful, and see you next time.